Hi, and welcome to Rauta's stream. I think this is the second stream so far with the, not gaming stream. To be honest, I didn't plan this very much. So if you find me stuttering with my words or thoughts or just whatever, blame it on me. I don't plan, I just improvise. So welcome on Rauta stream. Um, got a little bit of questions which people, you, dear audience, sent me on Facebook mostly. Some of them were gotten directly, like private things. And obviously, some of the questions were made on YouTube. All totally fine. But first things first, what do we have here first is beer. Couldn't do a stream without beer, couldn't we? So let's listen to the sweet sound of beer can popping up and let's start drinking and talking. How are you guys doing? I hope you are enjoying your Friday wherever you're residing. Some place it's gonna be night already, even morning hours. Some in the more like Eastern Asian, Pacific, or whatever. Some are probably enjoying their afternoon and getting ready to choked on their, I don't know, sandwich. I hope you're not at work. This would be totally inappropriate to working hours. And some are probably just heading for bars with the hours of beers and whatever. At least this could be going with the Nordic audience around Finland, Sweden, or whatever. So pop up your beers and let's get it going. And first of all, cheers to you all, dear audience. You are the reason why Rauta exists in the first place. Why would I be talking to myself? Really, it doesn't make any sense. So it's all about you guys and your questions and your opinions and your feedback. And now it's your time to rant at me as well. So shoot away with your questions, your comments, and whatever. There won't be background music for obvious reasons. I want to keep it kind of more understandable because obviously I've already had a beer, 10% strong imperial stout, so my brain is already a little bit fuzz, and it will be more fuzzier the more we go on with this stream. I don't know how long this will gonna last, 60 or 120 minutes around roughly, because I have a work, not a work morning, but anyway. First of all, I'm gonna try to comment you as much as possible with these comments you're sending here, but obviously I want to take these topics or these questions you sent me earlier, so give me a little bit of time reading these. And what can I say? Vanukas, rock and roll, snaggle, and all of you rest. Nice to have you here. Am I gonna smoke some weed? Not on this broadcast. Maybe some other time. Weed is a great thing to do, but it's also illegal in Finland, so whatever. Is the beer cold? Yes, I kept it in the fridge for a couple of hours to make sure that it's not my garage chilled, which is not the chilled when it comes to summertime. And Kippi Satana, Snowblind, cheers to you as well. You're doing Snaggletooth is writing riffs and for my band Desolation Death. Sounds awesome name. Doing riffs is also awesome. How much I bench? How on my bench press? That is an awesome question. I always like to ask that for people who are already working out. I did ask the same question from Suicidal Tendencies Mike Moore, one of my idols, so to speak, and he wouldn't reply. I'm kind of ashamed of my bench because I'm really weak at it, but I will always reply with numbers. My bench press is as weak as 115 kilos. I know that is very, very pathetic result. I have probably a lot of wrong things with my technique. I have weak triceps, probably weak pecs, pectoral muscles. I don't know, to be honest. It's kind of it has been puzzled me for many, many years, actually. And my bench has been growing very, very slowly. Of course, it didn't help that I started doing, gym when I was like 33 or so. So it's not like I got this, great start when I was like 20 or something. So I was kind of like all fart already when I hit the gym for the first time, and obviously I was benching with like 50 kilos. But still, it's no excuse that my training must suck for some kind of, for some ways, when it comes to bench pressing. Um, for a long time, I thought it was my tricep that was a weakling, but now that I haven't done with the, what called this like plank pressing, and I could actually bench more than without it, which is kind of like it seems like my triceps are not the problem. But then again, usually when I fail, it fails like when I like something like 10, 15 centimeters. That is roughly like 4, 6 inches. So it seems like a triceps problem, but now I'm not sure anymore. And I'm gonna start a new bench press program, or let's say bench press oriented program, when my current cycle with the 531 program is finished. That is roughly first or probably second week of August. I don't know if it's gonna help, but as it is, it will include squats and deadlifts, which are kind of like my forte. But yeah, there you go. I failed 117.5 during the spring. It probably would have gone up, but it hit the uh, what were they called? The stoppers, whatever. Basically clang, and then you obviously gonna fail it. So there you have it. And hello, who are just joined me recently, just barely 7 minutes in, and I'm already talking about bench press. Uh, 3 p.m. in Mexico, awesome. Have a great day at work. Mexico, beautiful country. I totally hope to be there another time. I was in Mexico with my family last January, and it was a great place. Really nice people, great food, great climate, beautiful places, islands, and resorts, and Mexico. Totally, people, get your asses to Mexico if you haven't been there. Lovely place. Um, North of Sweden. Hi, in Nordisk man. I just noticed your comment recently on YouTube. Nice to have you here as well. Um, what are my thoughts on Ripping Corpse Dreaming with the Dead? I really have no thoughts about it. I'm not too familiar with it. Um, okay, 4 p.m. At work. So, well, you're going to be joining later on here as well. EE Recordings just finished bench session, and see this great timing. I just had my deadlift session today, which was better than I expected. I was a little bit sick for a week. The whole family was basically. We had like sore throats. We had antibiotics. No training at all. I could still, be at work, but it was like way too weak to properly train. So I had a little bit of shitty week last week. This week I started. My squats were like heavy as hell. Then I've been doing, kind of yard work, picking up stones and everything. There's a big renovation project going on with the house and all that stuff. But today I had a great deadlifting session, so it's going there. I'm gonna get stronger once again now that I'm more or less cured, healed, whatever. Hi, GD Snuff. What's my favorite beer? Oh, that's a good question also, because as you probably know, I'm a big beer fanatic. I like many kind of beer, not all. I'm not gonna lie to you. Probably my current favorite ones would be Mikkeller's. What's it called? Like double strawberry sour, something like that. And also one of my favorites from Cool Head Brewery from Finland, which is I think the best brewery in the world. Not in the world, but in Finland. They had this also kind of a double strawberry sour or something like that. It was just delicious. It was like the beer equivalent of Slayer's Serene Blood. Well, not exactly, but I mean, sour beers are much like thrash metal. Most people in the extreme metal don't know how to handle it. They're like, sour beers, what the hell? You just should drink lager or IPAs or whatever. It's like kind of a marginal, but when you have it, you're like, these riffs or the taste, they are amazing. Sour beers are one of the top things when it comes to my taste buds in the world right now. But Still a big fan of IPAs, double IPAs, pale ales, California pale ales, India ale pale ale, India pale ales, and all that stuff. Yes, I like most of the beer in the world. I mean, when it comes to different styles, even some wheat beers, which I'm not usually too big fan of. But anyway, and deadlifts are brutal, especially with tiny bad. Yes, they are deadlifts. People should be doing deadlifts. My Blood Jelly's interview was best thing ever. Now, you might be a little bit exaggerating. I think it was a pretty nice interview considering that these guys are relatively new. I mean, with the band. But I think it was totally successful. I mean, it was nice to have kind of a incorporate this kind of workout routine with the bands and then some beer and ask these serious questions, even though the band is no name. And I was very, very positively surprised that even though the band is basically no name, very fresh and all that stuff, album being out like 2 months or so prior to this interview, it was viewed very, very many times, which was really heartwarming to feel. Not because you're gonna get money for the views, no, because the people are actually paying attention to the new bands, interested in figuring out what these guys are up to, what kind of music they're playing, what kind of thoughts they have. So to me, it's kind of a funny thing, and this is now for obviously this stream alone, but I mean, people probably don't realize that it's not the big bands that are actually so much appreciated and viewed as the small underground bands, which is kind of curious. I mean, I've been interviewing bigger bands like Creator, Sabaton, Devin Townsend, and whatever, and nobody gives that much damn about those bands versus smaller bands. I mean, obviously, we're not talking about bigger bands, bigger underground bands such as Satanic Warmaster and whatever, because they are the kind of a top viewed. But these kind of underground bands, which basically don't have big following, and yet people are keen to find out what these bands are actually all about. So to me, it's a big, big humbling experience to find out that you people, you audience, like I said, you make what Rauta is all about, that you are interested in seeing these band reviews, because I mean, they are the bands which are taking the torch. When the older generation is like, okay, we're too old for this crap, you take it, you lead the way. Let's be honest about it. I'm gonna make a Dog Throne Worst to Best video during the summer. I don't know when it's gonna be out, probably in August. And as such, I have been listening to whole Dog Throne discography lately. Actually, I'm missing still last two albums. I mean, like a new listening experience. And what I've learned, or rather been kind of like reminded of, is that these newer albums are not so much a big deal. And now, make no mistake, Dark Throne is the best black metal band to me personally of all time. So for me, it's a kind of a disappointment that they have kind of like become this kind of like, I'm not gonna say it's just a cursing word. Let's try it a different way. They have disappointed me so badly. So to me, they're like the generation that is about to die, and they're gonna, pass the torch, or that's what they should be doing, in my opinion. And as such, these new bands, they should not be overlooked as such. Like, hey, new bands, what do you have to offer? We have all these old school Norwegian bands. But let's be honest about it. This is not about Marduk and the like, which are still keeping the level really high. But bands like Satyricon, bands like Dark Throne, bands like Burzum, they haven't been doing those great albums for many, many years. They have been, on a downslide for a long time. So what we need is this younger generation to take over, kick those old farts away. Old farts like me, that is. I mean, me and my friends, many of us were born in the 70s. So we were already like listening to and finding these new bands and even making black metal in the mid 90s. But now, so many of us, too many of us, are running out of ideas. We're unable to shed our skin and to make us relevant anymore. And by that I mean that, some bands, it would be just great to, just piss off and let the younger generation to take over because they are relevant. They have the energy, they have the passion, they have the message, they have the fists, the power, the strength. We all fart, so we just maybe doing, I don't know, these kind of videos or just, go to the audience, It is pretty much similar with the heavy metal generation. I mean, soon Iron Maiden and the like have to, stop doing what they're doing because it's not like they're doing the great music. Iron Maiden is kind of a bad example and also a good example. Bad example as such, I mean, they're doing great live shows and all that stuff. But really, have they been up to the par they set up back in the 80s? Now you get my idea, I hope. So there you have it. Now you get back to your questions. Uh, um, highest percentage of beer I ever sampled. To be honest, I'm not sure. Probably around 17, 16. Never got. No, 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 no. Wait a second. I have tasted this Brewdog booze, which were about a 40% strong. Kind of like booze, not so much beer. So, but regular beer is hardly ever more than 14, 15, 17, something like that. Uh, Slayer, North Carolina, awesome. Enjoy Slayer. Slayer was really, really good at Tuska. I've seen Slayer at least 5 times, and they have never let me down. First time in the 90s, and now 2019 was my last time probably ever. There's still so much energy. I kind of feel like bad that they're quitting it, but I mean, like, can't really blame them, can you? Old Star is Shining. Nah, not so much. One great song in my opinion. Nice to have you, Gerkham. Cheers to you as well. What do I think? Numero compared to other Finnish summer festivals, is it overrated? As a non-Finn, to be honest, Numero is something to be experienced. I've been there like, I don't know, 10, 12 times. I think it's a great festival. My first time was there like 1996. So I was like 20 years old. Got there with a couple of my friends who were not that much of a metalheads, but I mean, we had a car borrowed from one of our friends' dad. Drove there, had a tent, something, food to, make on our own, kind of a soup or whatever. I mean, that wasn't the mind blowing experience. I think it came like maybe 2 years later when we got like more experience. Suddenly we're like 22 or something, or 21, I don't know. And yeah, at that time, I think it was like we were already figuring out how to enjoy places like Numero. Now, you have to understand, as a non-Finn, it's taking place during this midsummer part of, Finnish summer. That is the best way to experience Finnish summer. I mean, not only you're drinking a lot, probably, you're also having a lot of friends. You're having those bonfires. You're having the kind of a magic moment when the sun never sets down, because it's so called the nightless night. Especially if you go more in the northern parts, like Lapland, it literally never goes down. It's like not 24/7, but for a couple of days, it's just like it's daytime all the time. I mean, there's no sun setting down, so it's kind of a magical. Now with Numerok, you have to understand it's also in a rural part of Finland that is by a lake, by forests, or forest or a few, and kind of a countryside thing. There's nothing nearby. It's a camping area basically, with trailers, some stages obviously for vans, and some cabins. So it's very, very special fest in so many ways. Now, the reason I haven't been going there for a few years is that I kind of got fed up sleeping in a cold tent and, all that stuff, and obviously for family reasons or whatever. But as a festival, it's great, especially if you're still up for doing the tent things. Obviously, gonna of course get this kind of a you know uh, trailer, or like what do you call this kind of caravan cars, um, or you can get that cabin. So it's great place. The mood is there is like you cannot really compare it to average festivals, because there is this kind of a midsummer magic with this festival, with good bands, nice friends, people doing barbecue, playing crappy music throughout the whole days. I think some people don't even gonna see the bands, because it's as much as dragging your ass into the middle of nowhere to have beer with strangers, to talk about metal, to feel this kind of a metal brotherhood, if you will. I know it's not for everybody, but unless you're real, introvert person, if you're up for drinking with strangers at bars, Numerok is a perfect place to feel the so-called Finnish magic, summertime things. Just take your steaks and ribs or whatever vegan food if you need to, barbecue it, drink with your friends, make some new ones. I've made great friends along the years at Numerok. Saw some great bands. Imp Slayer, by the way, Danzig, Pantera, Impel Nazarene, Napalm Death, etc. Morbid Angel, by the way. I even got to talk with one of the Morbid Angel founders at Numerok also some 15 years ago. So, full of memories. It's a really, really great place, great fest to go to. So, if you're wondering whether you go Tuska or Numerok when you're like non-Finn, I would say put your money on Numerok rather. Tuska certainly has sometimes better bands, but for the magical festival feeling, Numerok is the place to be. What else? What else? I'm trying to figure out what else. Doomhammer 1980 said only 4% beer is real. Yes, that is an inside joke. You should getting 14% beers are the real thing. That is kind of a like only 666 is a real figure number for metal people. How would I compare Bostov to Lombardo? Thank you, Kari, for asking. I think Bostov is a skilled drummer, but he doesn't have the creativity, the madness Lombardo has. Lombardo is one of the best drummers of all time, in my opinion. I think nobody can beat him. I'm a fan of so-called drum pornography. That is, people like John Longstreth doing his magic with drums, like having four arms, pounding drums and cymbals and going all praise crazy. And I'm like, man, what is this guy all about? Lombardo has kind of a creative madness. Bostov doesn't. Bostov is one of those guys who can probably mimic a lot of drummers easily. He can kind of copy the magic, but he cannot create the magic. That is my opinion. Obviously, feel free to disagree, but Lombardo, magic guy. Bostov, nice guy. What else? Virginia Orwell. Hi, Virginia. I am well, thank you. Hope you are well as well. Black metal bands, are there any you are following? That is me. The bands that would be iconic in the future. To be honest, with all this Badushka drama, which you probably want to hear about a little bit, because some people were just like, I'm not understanding what this fuss is all about. I promise to come you back about that in a bit. With this kind of drama, I don't think many bands are worth following. There's a saying with sports that you're only as good as your latest, accomplishment. And I think that goes very much with the bands. Like I said, prior to this question, like I'm a longtime Dark Throne fan. I think it's still the best black metal band of all time, even though they haven't really delivered a good black metal album for like 15 years. So Dark Throne is not really doing good accomplishments. So would I feel that it's an iconic band? Not anymore. Back in the 90s, back in the early 2000s or something, definitely. So I'm kind of a cynical in that respect. So if you feel that some band is totally doing a great accomplishment, great gig and all that stuff. Yes, then obviously followed by all means. But to be honest, I am looking for the next big iconic thing. I think it kind of died with the 90s when bands like Metallica and all that stuff stopped, appearing. I mean, I don't think bands like Five Finger Death Punch are a good metal band. Or metal bands. I think these kind of the era of iconic bands is kind of a dead to me anyway. But yeah, I try to keep my eyes peeled for whatever good music there is around. What do I think about the new Bursum cassette box? Sold out. Well, to be honest, I think it's for collectors only. It's for maniacs. For example, my good friend, our drummer, he has no problem having a couple of different LP versions and CDs and tape box of the same album. He's a big Bursum fan, for example. I think that kind of people are, for those kind of people, those kind of tape boxes are meant to. I'm not saying that it's like all about give me your money and you have this crappy box. I think it's one of those kind of a memorabilia kind of things. You just want to have it on your shelf to show your friends, to kind of make you feel like, okay, I'm this big a fan that I need to have these also on tape. But personally, I couldn't give a rat's ass about tape box. But I mean, if people are willing to pay for that, why the fuck not? What else? What else? As far as you were aware, this by William Gaylor, the only person to score an interview with Archcode. How on earth did I manage to do this? First of all, I know the guys, the brothers in Archcode. I think that means a lot. That weighs a lot when I'm making these interviews. Also, I think people who know me know that I'm a real person. I'm no fake. I'm no poser. I'm no wannabe, whatever. Obviously, there are haters all the time. Probably now that I said these things aloud, people will be making these remarks later on, and that's okay. People are entitled to their opinions. So if somebody doesn't, for example, like what I do, what I say, and how I say, for example, there was this comment on this Instagram interview, like I made chauvinistic comments, I had stupid voices and whatever. I mean, this person is totally entitled to his or her opinion. But I mean, people know that I'm real when it comes to black metal. I played in black metal bands. I've done sort of black metal underground journalism and also death metal and whatever for a long time. I know these people know that I'm passionate about it, because if I wasn't doing this kind of a channel, because it would be just a waste of time, really. And it also applies to me writing and talking, doing these video reviews, opinion videos, going to places, festivals, gigs, and whatever. So I think that means a lot. And they know that I will be asking hard questions. I won't be just asking, "How is your tour life? How are your latest album?" Ooh! That kind of stupid stuff that nobody gives a damn about. They know that I'm passionate about going a little bit deeper. That it will be polite, but I will also be this kind of a annoying little prick who will ask these questions and who's actually interested in getting these answers out of them. I think that's how I landed it. But it helps when you know the people, and it knows that I've been around since like early or mid 90s, with the kind of a metal scene. This is not to boast. This is just to state that I've been here long enough that I have contacts. I know people, not everybody with, good contact, but at least that's how it goes. Future of Finnish black metal scene. That is a good question also. I think it's going to be bright because there are lots of different bands, creating new music. There are still veteran bands doing their old stuff, and they're quite passionate also about it. So I think it's going to be great. We have a lot of good bands, but also a lot of mediocre bands, which are not that good. But these, say, better bands, they have this kind of habit to break through. Not only because guys like me are, showing you got to get this War Moon's Lord band, you need to have this Morgul band, but also because, underground spreads its message. People will find out about new bands, especially when they're good. That's all about Batushka hype, basically. Even though they didn't even make that kind of a new thing with black metal, but people will find out when the music is good enough. So I think Finnish black metal scene is doing just fine, better than Norwegian black metal nowadays. That is. What else? Gotta say, by the way, I still haven't heard new Abath album. I have it on my USB stick as a digital promo, but haven't yet heard it. I was asking, by the way, Season of Mist for a promo copy. It never got replied, so I don't know if I would be, reviewing it. What do I think of Para? Well, first of all, I rated their first album quite nicely, 8 out of 10. And some people were like wondering, like, what the hell is going on? How can you like that band? It's way too mainstream. It's not evil or dark or raw or primitive or satanic and all that stuff. And I'm like, man, I just like the music. What else there is, really? I like the female vocals. I like the kind of atmospheric stuff they did. Their second album wasn't that good. And I also got kind of a shit about that as well. Some people were like wondering, like, okay, I don't like this review. It's not properly written and all that stuff. I'm like, do better then. I mean, it's just me explaining my point of view. I like when I saw them live a few years ago here in my home city, Turku, and I think they did a great job. I mean, it's not for everybody. It's more like the mainstream black metal with kind of a non-black metal, like atmospheric parts and whatever. But I think it's a nice band. I don't know how they played it, Numerok, obviously, but I think it's a band worth checking out. And obviously, it's not for everybody. That's kind of a given, much like Batushka. Um, 94 Numerok and the Ramones. Oh, Harold Manor, nice to have you here, by the way. Yeah, I wasn't there, 94. Too bad. What are my favorite black metal albums of the year so far? um, can I a little bit of I need to open actually my Demora. I'm not gonna actually do that. Open it like alt tab. Demora is one of the best. I think Batushka was actually surprisingly good as well. And what else? War Moon's Lord. Those at least. I will be conducting a list of these albums later on, but to be honest, it has been a good year for so at least those three are worth mentioning. What else? Now this is a Finnish question. If I was a superhero, uh, would my sidekick be Härskill Sörsäson? Neither. They're weaklings. Um, do I have a personal favorite Goat Moon album? No, to be honest, never been a Goat Moon fan. It's not about politics. It's just kind of melodic thing that doesn't really appeal to me. I'm not a hater, but it's just not really my cup of tea. So I don't have any favorite. Were I on Moon TV? Yes, that's a good question also because prior to creating Rauta in 2017, we had this 2016 was kind of a Rauta prototype, and it was only a couple of episodes, basically about Turku Saatanala Festival back then, and also the first Steel Fest. Well, not first Steel Fest, but we're Steel Fest were the first one where I was doing interviews. We had Imbel Nezarin and the like, but Finnish only. So obviously they were not published on Rauta anymore. So I was kind of doing with Moon TV. Now, curious enough, my camera crew, the original ones, that is, now that I have more, they're not Moon TV related, but my kind of like priority one camera crew member is doing for Moon TV also. So yeah, there's a Moon TV connection. And I have been interviewed about my day job for Moon TV. So I have been there as a visitor as much as I have been a kind of a host, but only for a couple of episodes as a host. Confessions, I'm a bit of a prick. I mean, that's just being honest. Black Metal and Grom. Now, that is a band that I truly like. I mean, I am kind of thankful that we have women doing extreme metal, as much as I also have to say that usually women are not up for that, creating music in the terms of extreme metal. Why so? I do not know. I tried to explain this on my one of my first opinion videos back in the 2017. Then I tried to get people, as a, guests for my, as opinion video, kind of our interview, kind of a stuff. I couldn't. Now I know there are people, for example, they say bass playing B Hexen, friend of mine also, and also some few other chicks that are playing black metal, and they are not like compromising anything. But to be honest, that's kind of a rarity. It's a scarce thing. I mean, like, I don't know why. There are lots of, when I want to go to Steelfest, for example, there are lots of, you know, good women out there going to see the shows, hanging around just as much as guys and not being groupies. I think they're solid metal fans. But where are the writers? Where are the interviewers? Where are the bass, guitar, drummers of black metal, and also being women? Usually, when you're a woman and playing the black metal band, you end up doing keyboards or some other secondary instrument. I know keyboards are not secondary instruments, but in the terms of metal, pay attention now. It's all about guitars, bass, drums, and vocals. Now, where are all the good female black metal vocalists who are also women? Where are the guitar players? Where are the bass players? Where are the drummers? I know like one drummer. I know like one guitar player slash vocalist, Dark and Nocturne Slaughter Cult, and so forth. But I mean, those are, I can basically, count those really cool black metal women doing instruments, like in terms of creating albums and all that stuff with my fingers. It's not like I know dozens of them versus hundreds of people when are guys. Now, this is not a sexist thing. This is not a chauvinistic thing, as much as people try to push it on me with the Asagram interview. I was like, you didn't hear one goddamn bit in that interview. People try to make it a chauvinistic comment when I'm just stating the facts, which is curious enough how much people suck. I mean, just because they don't like something, they automatically make it like, okay, I don't like this opinion. This guy sucks, and downvote it. I don't care about downvotes. They're just okay. But also the same thing happened with the Batushka review, for example. People didn't like the new Batushka, so they give me downvotes because they think it makes a difference. It doesn't. So my point is, grab your instruments. Prove that you have the skills, you have the talent, you have the mindset, you have the attitude, you have the, figuratively speaking, the balls to do it, and you have it there. I'm not saying it's going to be as easy for the ladies as it is easy for the guys. I mean, we all know guys are more likely to bond with other guys without no sex in their mind and all that stuff. In case you're wondering what goes into biological terms with our minds and whatever. But I mean, there are bands with women playing instruments, and they don't have to, prove anything at all when they just do the goddamn music. Write down the lyrics, create some riffs, play some mad cymbal and percussion things with your drums. Hit them with your keyboards if you have to. But I mean, it's totally possible. So, why I'm liking Asagram, it's not because those members of the band have titties and twats and whatever, or they might look better than me when I'm looking at the mirror. What it means to me is that these people are, at least as far as I know, real, and they're creating good music. They might not be real, I don't know, but that same applies to people with balls also. It doesn't matter if you're a guy or woman, you can still be a poser or wanna be hang around, groupie, whatever. But if you're gonna create an album full of good music, my hat goes off. I will buy you a beer if you make a good album. Doesn't matter how you tits or not. So there you have it. Chauvinistic fuck. Okay, back to questions. Do I have a favorite Peste Noir album? No, because I don't like Peste Noir. I tried to enjoy their gig at Sailfest last year. I couldn't. Not my cup of tea. Probably they're good albums which I should enjoy. I don't. I'm sorry about it, but I don't. When was my first black metal show? Well, I don't even know, because I think it depends how you define a black metal. But back in the 90s, as you probably know, back in the 80s, the genres were kind of like mashed up, and you don't know which one was which. Um, I would like to say it was mid 90s, but it probably was more like late 90s because I'm not exactly sure. I was drunk, I was young, and I didn't care that much, nor do I still care that much. Uh, but considering that I already played my first gigs like 97 maybe, it must have been before that. I mean, I saw Imbel Nazarene playing Suomi Finland Perkele album around 94, I guess. Could that have been my first black metal show? Maybe. I'm not sure. But I would say around 95, 94. If Imbel Nazarene counts, it would have been my first one. Fitness related question by Hyperbore and Wolf. That sounds like a badass name, by the way. What's the most serious injury I've ever had? And what was the healing like? Well, I had this shoulder injury, you know. Um, there was this pain, it wouldn't stop. You know, I was keep snapping painkillers. Not that we have that strong in Finland versus like United States, which have cool drugs. So I had this, you know, what's called this kind of a thingy which they just put it in you, and magically I was healed right away. That I think was very. I also had a kind of a hip related thing around 2013. The doctor said it is related to people who do weightlifting, powerlifting, but also martial arts. Check, 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 and also you know sports game like football, soccer, whatever, which is kind of a, like just you know overdoing something. Basically, I think it was related to inflammation with you know your muscles and whatever. So I had these pop ups and pills, and it went away. But I think the worst one was when I had to cortisone. Yes, cortisone. That I think was the thing which and it healed. It never came back. This is already a few years ago. Other than that, I had like inflamed, you know, elbows, both sides, you know, both sides in terms of golf and tennis elbows and both arms. So quite small, or my worst injury was from martial arts around 2002, 2003, when I actually broke my right big toe when playing kind of a soccer as a warm up for a martial art class, and I just basically, you know, stepped on my thumb, so it was like, you know, protruding, you know, and it just kind of you know, broke. And I was going to Inferno Festival that year, so it probably was 2003. I would estimate so, and I couldn't because my whole leg was more or less in a package, and I couldn't travel. It sucked big time. I had to skip the festival. What else? What else? What do I think? For Kunsten Ma in Evig Vike of Kvist, some people do like that album quite a bit. I think it's quite okay, but for me, it's no like a deal breaker album. It's definitely a cult album. People should be checking out Kvist, which only made, I think, one full album, that particular one. And it clearly has some great potential to be a big band. I don't know what happened to these guys. I would love to find out, but to be honest, I'm too lazy to Google it if they replied it uh, with some interview. But Kvist is a band that I kind of hope that they would have gone to next step, make two albums at least more. Definitely a band that people should be checking out. Um, And then there was another comment by Virginia Orwell. Watched the Eternal Flame of Gehenna earlier today. Someone mentioned Asakal where are hated in Finland. Why is the band and so much disliked? Well, lots of these reasons. I think one of the main reasons is that back in the days, now some facts. Um, there was this drummer, Ville, V Chaos, who is the main band, the main man and only guy in band like Varigrov and Jordan Forrest. He used to be the drummer, and he used to be a real mess. Lots of drugs. Well, more booze, I guess, than drugs, but anyway, booze and drugs. And Tommy, the main man, he has always been quite fond of alcohol. So I think they had quite a lot of boozing around, making stupid comments, making remarks, kind of making enemies. But I don't know if they were actually hated that much because, to be honest, I think they were kind of like just part of the Hyvinkää, the city they are living in, also the city of Steelfest. I don't know if they were actually that much disliked. I think they just got a little bit of hate and flaming because they were drunk with that documentary. But I think it was exaggerated, not that much hated. What else? Anguished, yes. Well, that's a one-woman band showing potential, but to be honest, that really didn't fly, did it? I have met the person, I think twice. I think she used to date one of my friends. Yeah, and I think more about passion than so much execution. Not bad album by Anguished, by the way, but to be honest, I think it really didn't fly that much. Nocturne Slaughter Call, Dr. Slaughter Call definitely is worth mentioning about those female black metal groups because they're really talented and passionate vocalist, guitarist. I've saw them live, and I totally would love to interview that person also because I think she's one of the real deals here in black metal team terms and being woman in the scene. But those are really, 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 really few. What else? Opera IX, yeah, I remember the band, but I mean, they haven't been going for a lot of time, I think. Yeah, had a woman vocalist. Holder is something I don't know, I must admit. What else? Doing a lot of digging around. What a best airline to fly to Finland. And now that whoa, there is gone. Sorry, Derek. To be honest, I don't know. There are services which compare these different airlines when you're trying to, find the proper, cheapest way to book your tickets. To be honest, I don't. I have no ideas. I don't know ideas how which companies fly with which prices and whatever to Finland. So best of luck googling or redditing that around. They're probably wiser people than me doing that kind of thing. So I was playing soccer. Yes, I have been playing soccer. I suck at it, but well, sports are nice when with friends. Hello, Greeks, Blood 666. Hi from the UK. That's not a really British name, by the way. You should have totally something like a more British aristocrat name, like hello, Jesus, Sean, something I don't know. Hi from North Germany, the language bar. Great content. Nice to hear. Small question: how do I define poser? That's an easy and great and also hard question at the same time. Poser is a person who tries to give impression of being something else than he or she is not. Say, for example, a metal person who just went to Hannes and Moritz gets this kind of Iron Maiden shirt and she'll think, yeah, I like metal music. I mean, I listen to radio and I like Wasted Years and AZ Silent Trooper. And they're like, so what's your favorite Iron Maiden album? And they're like, with the one with the Trooper. And they're like, so do you like Alexander the Great? How is the Rhyme of the Ancient Mariner? Or whatever. More, or like when you're asking like, so you like Paul Diano? huh? You know the drummer here, the trap, you know? I'm like, yeah, 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 yeah. I totally know the drummer. And I'm like, okay, you're a poser. You don't know shit about it. I'm not talking about bragging about the anecdotes, but I mean, it's really easy to figure out who is just a poser. Make a little bit of questions. If he or she has a Burzum t shirt, just ask something about Burzum. I mean, this is not about having the facts lined up for you. It's not about, knowing the right anecdotes and details and whatever. But, and I don't know if it even matters if you need to spot a poser. But I mean, the real thing is, why would somebody be a poser in the first place? I mean, it's like, let's assume for a bit. I wanted to be posing as a gay guy. Why would I want to do it if it's not like, you know? Like, what the hell? I mean, people should be real about it. I mean, if you don't know something about a band, if you don't know something about this and that, it doesn't matter. That's why you can have these questions laying around. You can't be just like, hey, I'm a new fan of, Dark Throne. I'm gonna ask some stupid ass questions. Who is this favorite guy? Or when this band was formed? What's the best album? There's nothing wrong with that. But acting like you know your shit when you actually don't know, that's kind of a bad thing. And as such, I think it's kind of easy to spot a poser. I'm like, this is not a regular metal head, going out for a gig or show or whatever. And instead, he or she is trying to, give this impression that he or she knows his or her shit. So I don't know. If people have this tendency to be kind of a posers, I think these are not people to be trusted. But what do I know? Don't take my word for that. I just think people should not be posers. Posers are bad people. Um, Greetings from Niedersachsen. I don't know where it is, but it sounds like Germany. Uh, so what else? I'm from a Mexican dude living in Brazil. Best tunes for working out. Best tunes. Manowar is best. Also, Rammstein. You have that militaristic thing going on. Boom, 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 boom. Black metal, way too dissonant, way too much lacking the bass. I mean, my friend, powerlifter, by the way, he's a big fan of B Hexen. I think he could work out for that, but I would rather pick thrash metal. Today I was, doing deadlifts and whatever with Anthrax, and as such, I would go for Manowar, really simple, powerful heavy metal. Rammstein, I would go for thrash metal. And if I didn't have those options, I would go for death metal. But black metal, I mean, like Burzum, working out, really, it's like putting Cannibal Corpse and trying to make out with your new girlfriend. I mean, if she's up for that, she's a keeper. But will you get laid when you're listening to Cannibal Corpse? Not likely, versus comparing you with some heavy metal ballads. But obviously, whatever works for you, that is the crap. I mean, figure out what is giving you the blood bump. That is the thing. I mean, for example, Harry Rollins, one of my idols, I could say, wrote that he's all about listening to ballads when he is doing working out. For example, in my case, it might be listening to Pink Floyd. Would I do it? Yes, I have done it. But if I was going for personal reps, personal best, best attempt lifts, no, I wouldn't do that. Nor would I take Cannibal Corpse on a date. Yes, I need to work on my British accent. It's British accent is so goddamn hard. That is not British accent. That's Swedish accent. Uh, British accent is the best. It's the worst. It's something hard. Um, what else? What else? Why don't you like? I love Burzum. How come you figure out I don't like Burzum? Burzum is one of the best black metal bands of all time. Make no mistake. Philosophen, vi slutar oss. And well, let's put it this way. Most of the Burzum stuff, except for the crappy dungeon synth or more like prison synth albums, they're crap. but Burzum, one of the best. So don't say to me, why don't you like Burzum? Because it's like, piss off. Gerkan, yes, you're a poser. You want to try to be a Finnish person and you don't even know how to write Finnish. So you're a poser. Just kidding. Sorry, Derek. Hope you will fix it. Hope I will get to have a beer with you. You're a good commentator. You're a real loyal Rauta follower. Keep it up. What else? Udvan says, by the way, I've been seeing almost all the interviews you have done. Even though I don't know the band, I think you make a good job. Thank you. You are making me humble. I try to present new bands, and I hope that you will be enjoying the interviews I make, even though you don't know the band. But obviously, I don't expect you to check out the band interviews with the band that you don't have any interest or you don't know of. So obviously, it's up to you whether you're gonna check out any given band. But obviously, if you do enjoy checking out interviews with the bands you don't know, that's a great way to know a band. Way better than any review or any opinion videos. If you ask me, the best content here on Rauta would be interviews. That is the so-called premium content, if you will. I know some people will disagree. Some people like just something else. But I think the interviews are the best content. But obviously, feel free to express your opinion because it's you, not me. What else? Chesney Hawks. Love the video creator, especially Mila Centuri's English abilities and compare. I don't know which one actually speaks better English. It was great to meet Mila, even though I'm not a big creator fan. This might surprise you, by the way. But I mean, it was really great to meet such a trash legend. As you might already know, I love meeting these people who have changed the way metal is. Being pioneers of metal. Doesn't matter if it's power metal, black metal, thrash metal, heavy metal, doom metal. Doesn't really matter. If you make an impact in the metal scene, it doesn't really matter. I could even imagine doing interviews with bands I even hate, like Volbeat or Five Finger Death Punch. I don't know why would I do that, but I could do it just for the sake of it. Because if you make an impact, you're worth interviewing. Then again, even people who are nobodies are worth interviewing if they have something smart to say. I don't know if that logic opens up to you, but to me it does, and that's what counts. Somehow is the best workout music for me. Well, if it gives you the kicks, why the hell not? My opinion on Bellows. Bellows is a good album. I think it's underrated. It's roughly the same quality as Fallen. Yes, it's one of the best comeback albums of all time. Really, no need to add anything to that. It's a great album. Satan's Beef Jerky a la Hercules. That's by the way, one of the weirdest fucked up names of all time I saw in a YouTube. What can I say? Thumbs up for such a name. How many beers did you drink? I mean, like prior to this one, this is my second beer, and this is actually pretty easy going. This is a something like 5.0, so smooth. But I had a 10% beer previously. I was listening to music, doing some label and band related stuff, and I was like, hey, getting better for their stream and all. Northern Germany. All right. What's wrong with Cannibal Corpse for making out? Nothing if your companion is up for that. But I don't think most girls appreciate if you put fucked with a knife on the background and then you're like, and like the saying goes, one in the stinky, two in the pinky. You got laid while listening to Midnight. Well, getting late to midnight, that doesn't come to surprising. I mean, back in the 80s, probably a lot of people got late, listening to Wasp or Metal Crew and stuff like that. Midnight is very retro. It's kind of a easy listening in the terms of being metal. So getting late to midnight is like having I don't know. Okay, I'm not going there. Glad you got laid. Getting laid is one of the best things in the world, if you ask me. Having sex is great. Uh, in Feria, the Finnish porno grind band had this great title. Fucking is a great way to meet new people. I totally agree with that. I'm not sure if the title was that, but anyway, something along those lines. Anyway, people should have more sex. Sex is one of the best things. When you have great music combined with sex, it's awesome. What else could you have there? Work out, sex, eat good food, listen to good music, and you have all the basic foundations you need to have in your life. It doesn't matter if you have a crappy job, if you hate your teacher at high school. When you're good music, with good sex, good food, and you're already there. The only reason why I don't talk about that much sex on Rauta is because, well, probably YouTube doesn't really like that much. Probably get censored a lot, and people would consider me more a freak than I'm right now. But then again, I guess I'm kind of a freak. So what do you know? What else? Um, Vital remains. It's a good one to put up on. Maybe it is. Uh, Torso is asking in Finnish. Hello, Jerry. Can I remember Leviathan, Perkeleen poika? Yes, I have a vague recollection about it. What do I think of Luvia? I don't know what that is. Band, person, something else, lubricant. Um, yeah, Mille was lots of like, yeah. Well, I guess that's kind of a typical thing to do. Since now I have been replying all your questions, now I have a good time to a little bit of what else? I have this tabbing time. I will be reading you some questions which were made to me, which I wanted to talk to you about, like the Badushka two bands. Let's talk about that for a bit. Uh, One man band from Mexico, Luvia. Unfortunately, I don't know that. Mexico, great band, a great country, but no, don't know too many bands about it from it. Batushka. Now, this is something that probably some people are keen to know about it. Some people already know about it. So, first of all, there was this one Batushka. Two guys creating kind of a atypical black metal release. These kind of a Catholic choirs, if there's a word for that, I don't know. And they made this kind of a hype thing of an album, Liturgy, which I don't think is worth the hype, but that's just me. And obviously, people were like fussed about it, like, okay, this is something new, even though it's not that much new. It's like MGLA, that is, with some choirs and whatever. It's Polish atmospheric black metal. Great. Okay. So they did a couple of gigs or whatever, and people were all like hyped up. Okay, they used these monk choirs and whatever. Pretty okay to me, but really not my cup of tea as in terms of like, I wouldn't buy that album. Now, people were expecting something new to happen, like a second album or whatever. And obviously that happened, but with two different bands. Now, this is the band by so-called Bart, and this other band called Christoph. And obviously, Christoph is the guy who created more or less the first album. He's kind of like the real Batushka. But for some reason, which I'm not totally sure of, so I don't want to speculate too much, this Bart guy took the name Badushka, signed a deal with Metal Blade, created a new album with some other people. I don't know actually how many because really can't trust all these liner notes or whatever. But anyway, he created this album with Batushka and went to Metal Blade, released it. I reviewed it like yesterday. It came out. Obviously reviewed it earlier, but anyway. And I think it's a great album. It's different. And I think it's better than Liturgy, but obviously it's not the same Batushka in the terms of, like, imagine this is James Hetfield from Metallica, and this is Dave Mustaine, and they're like, hey, I created these riffs. And Dave Mustaine be like, piss off, I'm taking the Metallica name and running away to the forest and creating this album and whatever. So this came out in a bizarre way. The original member creating the music was without the record deal, and the other guy was suddenly doing the album with some other guy, but using the name. Now, have the remember, the same has happened with Venom and Venom Inc. Read about it online if you need to, or check out your local whatever. I mean, they have Venom with Kronos and Venom with Mondas and others. So it's like we have two different Venoms, Venom and Venom Inc. We have Entombed and Entombed AD because one of the Entombed originators didn't want to continue with Entombed, and the others wanted to. So I went with Helicopter and all that stuff. Others wanted to create Old Entombed. So they had kind of a split the party, different names, all that stuff. The same has happened with Queensryche. There was similar kind of a contest with Gorgoroth name, and luckily it ended up being the Gorgoroth originator who got the name Gorgoroth, and Gaul and King of Hell or whatever went with Godseed, and later on Gaul's root came up and all that stuff. So this is not a first time these kind of name disputes came out. Obviously, I understand when people are with their moral hearts and all that stuff, defending Christoph, the man creating liturgy and all the music. Now, the peculiar thing is, doesn't even matter. We have two bands. Like I said, I hope I said it in the interview. I'm not even sure anymore because I was thinking about it. Like with Turbo Negro, we lost with the original vocalist Hank Von Hell, or Hank Von Helvete. So Turbo Negro got a new singer, and they went along, create this album of their weird psycho punk, death punk rock album and all that stuff. Now Hank Von Helvete came back, and he had a new band, creating similar music, but it's not Turbo Negro, but it sounds Turbo Negro. So what in essence we have is like two Turbo Negros, one with the Turbo Negro name and the one without. Pretty much like Venom and Venom Inc. They both can play the old Venom tracks like black metal or whatever when they go live, but we have two bands creating similar music. See what I'm trying to say here is that we have the potential of having two great bands. To me, the funny thing, the peculiar thing with this Batushka case is this. Now suddenly people are like so moral about like these guys should have the name and all that stuff. I can understand we're all human and all that stuff. But being a black metal and having drama with moral, please, people. I mean, we are talking about church arsons. We're talking about murdering people. We're talking about destroying entire races. We're talking about really brutal stuff. Name it here. And suddenly people are all about like, this guy stole the name. It shouldn't be done. Obviously, it shouldn't be done. But this is beyond moral. This is black metal. This is extreme metal. This is not supposed to, like, we're not supposed to give a damn about this kind of a drama. To me, this is all about bold and beautiful kind of a thing, soap opera. So it's kind of a funny thing that suddenly people are so much being moral about these kind of things, which are eventually going to be court ordered or whatever. So I'm not like saying like Christoph. I mean, he probably should have the right to the name and all that stuff. But in essence, you have potential to have two great bands. Doesn't matter if they have to change name. Now, bear in mind this one. This is really important part of this conversation is that now that Patushka is a brand. It's as much a brand as like Behemoth or Coca-Cola or whatever. Does really matter by under which name or moniker or brand the good music comes out. My point is, it's all about selling things. And if you don't want to think about these albums as products, it shouldn't matter to you whether or not they're going on the moniker Batushka or something like they could be Rauta all like here. My point is here, good music counts, branding, not so much. Branding is a marketing term. It's for good for PR and all that stuff. I should know. I work in the area of PR and marketing. But when we're talking about extreme metal, this is just a selling point kind of a thing. So, in moral standards, I understand people's hearts are with Christoph. Then again, do these kind of moral standards belong into black metal? I don't know about you guys, but I, for one, certainly know it doesn't belong into my world of black metal. So there you have it, Badushka thing. If I need to make a video about it, you can argue with me about it. I can do it. But as far as I'm concerned, this is pretty much in a nutshell the whole Batushka case. Now back to your questions. Yes, Batushka uses Orthodox, not Catholic. That's a good point. This is so funny stream. This is no funny. This should be more funny, more titties and all that stuff. What else? How would I compare Swedish death metal to American one? Which one do I prefer? Kari, you are one of my good friends and you make good questions. Thank you. As you probably all know, but probably Kari knows this better than most of the guys, I'm more about American death metal. To me, Swedish death metal has always been kind of too inbred. That is, grave, entombed, dismembered, carnage, all that stuff. They are too much kind of similar in style. That is, apart from the so-called melodic death metal, so-called Gothenburg style, which is then again more about like In Flames, Dark Triangle. In my opinion, not death metal at all. They don't have the growling, they don't have the lyrics, they don't have the sound. So, going back to this Sunlight Studio sound and whatever, or HM2, Boss HM2 pedal sound, which is still a prominent thing, but some bands are just trying to kind of a camouflage the lack of creativity and good riffs with the sound. So to me, Swedish sound is too much carved out of the same rock. Whereas American death metal, obviously America is a way bigger country, so the bands are not that much influenced by each other. But think of like Death, Cannibal Corpse, Morbid Angel, D-Side, Suffocation, and all that stuff. I mean, so much more different. It's Suffocation, Cannibal Corpse. One could say, yeah, they have similarities, but think like Obituaries and all that stuff. They're very much like different from each other. Even bands like Death, Obituary, Cannibal Corpse, Morbid Angel, they barely have nothing to do with each other, even though they're from the same state. Now, if you go, even further to different places, the sound will obviously change, and there are lots of different bands. So to me, American death metal is the shit. I hope that kind of sums it up. Victor Ochoa, new here. So my Batushka a few days ago, and they were pretty bad. Okay, where did they play actually? Oh, I'm keen to know. Chesney Hawks, sum it up. I'm Batushka. He's Batushka. You know Batushka, like a big black metal family. Black metal brotherhood. We're drinking beer, we're piecing peace, and we're hugging in the end. A little bit of banging, and then next we are banging the girls and groovies. Yes, very nice. Yvonne, maybe everybody knows this, but what does Rauta mean? Rauta means iron. It's Finnish. Rauta means literally the metal, the material, Rauta. And why it was selected as a name was that because I have this thing for going to gym, going to powerlifting, and all that stuff. And in Finnish, it's kind of we have this saying like you can lift some iron, when you go to the gym, I'm gonna hit the iron, and so it's kind of a wordplay kind of thing, much like anvil, metal on metal. So I want to put my death metal while I'm lifting some metal. So there you have it. What else? You do very nice work on tube. Thank you, KPT. Satan Speed Shergi Alahirgules. I still love the name. How do I assert dominance when you're interviewing bands or when you're at the gym? I don't think about dominance. I just do what I do. I mean, for example, today I was training at a nice gym called KP Gym, which stands like Kudyarov Powerlifting. Kudyarovs are a couple which are both really, really strong, like top of the world strong. The guy, Zahir, is one of the best powerlifters of all time, probably. One of the strongest guys. Anna, his wife, also has beat some, personal women's records or whatever. I mean, like, when you go to that kind of a gym, you know you're not going to be even near to the strongest ones. I'm just one of the weaklings there. I mean, like, there are probably some people who are weaker than me, but they're a lot stronger. And that's how actually you should go. It should feel when you go to the gym. You know that there are people you can look up to, much like in the metal business. I don't want to go to a interview where I feel like, okay, these are just bunch of losers. These are guys or girls or whoever I don't have respect or interest towards. I want to interview people who are like, I, I respect what you do. I want to look up to them. Same much as when I'm gonna go to the gym. You like my long sleeve collection? It's pretty pathetic. I mean, I have cult shirts like this Musta Surma, which I got in the 90s, but it's not that big. I mean, I haven't gotten new cool t-shirts or long sleeves for many years. And I think one of the reasons is, first of all, most of them don't look that good. Secondly, uh, really cool ones I already got, and the new ones suck. I would like to have more cool cult shirts. But, for example, this is one of the shirts I'm actually wearing at the gym sometimes because this is kind of fucked. This is full of, holes and all that stuff. What is good album KPT? Open arms. What else? Hello Arttu. Welcome on board. Hey, now I have a good excuse to other things. We already got this Batushka thing. We got the future of Finnish black metal scene. There were other questions. My thoughts on Taucross issue. There was this kind of Nazi allegations to Taucross. To be honest, I don't know how that came out, but it felt really stupid when I heard a brief thing about it. What else? Finnish death metal classic, the obscure gems, new bands and album. That's a long question. I mean, the lots of old Finnish death metal bands, which are, in my opinion, not worth mentioning so much. It seems like labels are trying to kind of capitalize on some old Finnish classics, which are barely nothing more than demo collections. And as such, to collectors, they might have some value, but are they that good that they should be reissued? I kind of doubt it. Some good bands are making comebacks, such as Aberrance, which made a nice MCD, which was reviewed already last year here. But for most, uh, you know, bands coming up back and all that stuff really doesn't really make sense. But I think Finnish death metal is still doing quite nicely. What else? Um, discuss what it's been like metalhead. People seem to be afraid of metalheads because of the shirts we're because of our style. Now this is a tricky thing because obviously it's very cultural dependent. Some countries people have a hard time, having long hair. I used to, I should know, and having shirts with offensive text, like Cradlefield had this "Jesus a cunt" text back in the 90s. I was totally like, whoa, mind blown with that kind of stuff. And Marduk T-shirt, masturbating with the inverted cross and all that stuff. I kind of miss those days when those kind of shirts were uber offensive. They were not just making apologetic things to shirts. Like imagine this: Timo Borgin in like 2008 or something like that at Wacken Festival had this back print for a shirt that said "Religion sicken me." Wow, so they really like sicken you. Is that all you can say? Instead of like "fuck you, Christ" and all your choir boys, or like Grey Wolves, the Noise, or Power Electronics band like Catholic priests fuck children. That's an offensive statement, but religion sickens me. Boo, fucking who? Now, what I want to have is kind of like, it might be naive to print all kind of these kind of bad things on your shirts and whatever, but I think it was cool because it felt like not necessarily dangerous, but it felt like you were making a statement. Hell, even back in 1994, I had this machine head T-shirt. I mean, I like the first album, even though I don't have it anymore. And it just said on the back print, "Fuck it all." That was enough for the teacher to, excuse me. It was enough for the teacher to, toss me out of the classroom. Oh, so Machine Head had more an impact or more an attitude than so many other bands which had really lame t-shirts. So my point is, I don't think all the extremities are not that extreme. And obviously, for some countries, it can mean a lot more than for others. I mean, Nordic countries are pretty easy to go. Whatever you have on your shirt, unless it's full blown Nazi or something. But I know some countries you cannot get really serious trouble if you just have the kind of prints which are really offensive and you're looking for trouble. So obviously, I would rather see people going smart before having full blown attitude. Attitude is nice, but you don't need to die because of it. It doesn't make you a fucking martyr, and even if it did, so what? You're still dead, martyr or otherwise. Megadeth or Metallica? For me, it's easy. Metallica. I grew up with Metallica in my teenage years. I never got to like Megadeth or Dave Mustaine so much. So there you have it. And the thoughts of Stormhide. NSBM from Finland was said in parentheses. Um, well, Joachim is a friend of mine. Kim, the main guy, Mr. Stormhide. Musically, it's not my cup of tea, but I totally respect what they're doing. I also like that they're not apologetic with their music. Now it's time for third beer of the night. Last one also. And I think it's really cool that they have this really Finnish thing going on. Can you see the smoke coming out? But Stormhide musically is really not my cup of tea. I mean, it's kind of like too folk in a way. But I don't have a problem with so-called NSP side, even though I'm not on the right, I'm not in the left. But I respect what they're doing. Do I listen to the Drasters album this year? No, I have heard it. Unfortunately, so. Artu, it's great that your friend still has that shirt. It's a great thing. Seppo Sodomiti wants me to talk in English because it sounds silly. Now, it would sound way more silly if I was starting yhtäkkiä ruveta puhumaan suomea on a stream that is made for people who are mostly not Finns. So there you have it. I have no problems talking Finnish, but most of you would be just felt like, okay, this is weird. What is my opinion of cult? Chaos, Gnosticism, Thelema, Chaos Magic, and etc. in black metal. I think they have certainly their place, but I'm kind of like the cynical fuck who are not that much into occult. I don't feel it doesn't really do too good to people. I mean, obviously people should be interested in the arts and crafts that help with their lives and whatever. So if occult is doing you a good thing, serving you or helping you to achieve things in life, go do it full blown. But I mean, and I kind of don't want to step on anybody's toes, but I feel it's mostly like a waste of fucking time. I know it's gonna piss off people, but then again, I did it with my own band anyway. I was giving a middle finger about people who were like so much into duck occult and magic, and still were kind of doing crappy basic level jobs, seeing their relationships destroyed and not achieving big things. I don't know even what it means anymore to achieve big things in life because it can mean a different thing. But to be honest, I don't believe in afterlife. I don't believe in salvation or redemption or anything like that. To me, it's just like we live and we die. And if that occult or magic or faith or religion is not helping you right away, right about now, it's probably not doing good for you. But to each his own. Feel free to challenge me, change my mind. Kari Koskinen replied to Seppo Sodomiitti, who wanted me to stop speaking English, like, Seppo, run to the lake. I think that's a good advice. Seppo should take a dip, like skinny dipping in the lake and go for. And by the way, not third beer. This is a Lakritsi Porteri, a porter beer with some licorice. Very, very Finnish thing. Not for everybody's taste, but definitely worth testing out if you are non-Finnish, especially. When it comes to black and death metal, would I prefer more faster and slower stuff, or is it just about the songs itself? Asked by Kari Koskinen. Once again, great question, Kari. To be honest, I used to be more into faster paced metal when I was younger. There was a point when I felt like albums like Panzer Division Marduk and all, they would be the shit. Because the faster, more intense, more aggressive and all that stuff. But eventually I got kind of bored out of it. Not meaning that I got bored of, fast paced metal in the first place, but more like it doesn't define the band whether it's good or not. I know I was probably a little bit slow at the moment and still am. Thing is, I like both slow and fast. But I think if you can make a song interesting when it's played in kind of a slow tempo, then you have something real going on. If you need just fast tempo to kind of hide it, that you don't have really good riffs, real compositions, and all that stuff, then you might just need to reconsider whether that song is good in the first place, or those riffs were within. For example, some of my favorite bands are Origin. Like I mentioned, probably John Longstreth and this drum porno. I think fast playing can be really, really intense. It can be really mind blowing. Panzer Division Marduk is still, in my opinion, the best Marduk album. But then again, there are doom albums, there are death metal albums which totally rule with slow tempo or mid tempo. So to be honest, the tempo doesn't define song being good or bad. It's much like titty size. Small titties, big titties, doesn't matter. If you're hot, you're hot. Doesn't matter with sizes. Can I speak German? Nein. I only know a few words. I can probably order beer like Kann ich habe Bier bitte? That's as much I can say in German, and probably that went wrong. So unfortunately, I kind of like German language. It can be so violent, brutal, and German are nice people, at least what I've experienced. But unfortunately, no, I can say here words like a few words here and there, and I'm not gonna try it anymore. We need more LP. We need more LP. Ich bin die Ananas. Ja, Ananas is a fine fruit. We need to conquer world with Ananas and Hitler. Okay, it just switched all the way to Finnish. You cannot give only a chance. Victoria, sorry, Victor Ochoa I wanted to ask, like, which is my favorite black metal band from Spain? To be honest, I don't have any favorite black metal bands from Spain. I think one of my favorite Spanish bands was something like thrash metal. The thing is, I like Spain as a country, but when it comes to being a metal country, bands coming from Spain hang me for this, but they are, as far as I can remember, like none. My first metal album. Does it count if I say Fate No More, Angel Dust? Does it count as a metal album? Because that was the first CD I ever got. Yeah, before I even had a CD player back in the early 90s. Oletko somali? No olen, oletko itse? Black Metal from Spain, 30 Moon. I'm not sure if I had it. Anyway, just I'll tapping a little bit. This was a most peculiar comment. You seem like a good dude and I like your thoughts. Nobody wants to hear my thoughts. You're a bunch of pathetic people because you're here. Okay, there was controversy about Mick Cospa, the guy behind Northern Heritage label and Clandestine Blaze, and also that spelled Omega vocalist. Reading many places that he is a Nazi, a pedophilia person, and pedophile, and other things which are usually gilded by context. And the thing is, he's a family man. I very much doubt that he's pedophile. Not that it proves anything, but there's no indication other than this rumor, which I could just put it on about any of you, just like that. It's kind of a stupid rumor, by the way. Nobody likes pedophiles. And putting out some rumors about some people just because you don't like his music or because you think it's a funny thing, it's really not cool things. I mean, I don't believe innocence as such, but I think most kids are cooler than most adults. Why? Because they are not assholes like most adults are at some point. I'm an asshole every now and then. I'm a real prick. I treat even my friends with behavior which they probably don't deserve. I get treated like shit every now and then by some unknown people. Most adult people are assholes just because they can, just because they have this possibility to act like a dick. Kids don't do that. So don't put out any pedophile rumors about anybody. If you have proof, it's a different thing. Mikospa being Nazi, well, he has these kind of NSBM connections. Does that make him a Nazi? No, because I think he's way too nihilistic, way too cynical to be that stuff. Yes, he has some right wing connections or opinions, probably, but a Nazi, really, my definition of Nazi is a little bit different than Mikko Aspa. There was a good question about this. After the Mysticism interview, what does Satan mean to you? That is one of the best questions I have been always wanted to kind of answer. Because to me, Satan is not a real thing. It's not a character, it's not an entity, it's not a god or godlike creature. It's not a creature at all. I don't believe in those higher or lower creatures. It might be, I don't know, but to be honest, prove me otherwise. To me, it's all about kind of a rebellion. It's more like a philosophical thing. It's like a metaphor for being a rebel, being an individual, being yourself, standing up for the crowd's powers that might be, fighting for yourself, thinking for yourself, creating your own identity, um, being not afraid of who you are, ready to change your opinions if you need to, if they're proof that will present themselves in a way that you can create. That is what Satan, Lucifer, devil, and all that stuff is. Not to be one of the sheep among the many. Not that I hate sheep. I mean, they are needed as creatures, and in the metaphorical sense, we're talking about people. But I think it's mostly about this courage to rebel, to stand up for yourself, to shout it out if you need to, if you will it. Some might say this is kind of a lame definition, but then again, do I look like I give a damn? Some other questions. Balmog is quite nice from Spain, but it's not that great. Um, what else? This is live. Why doesn't Rauta have a beer? Well, this is a beer. I already showed you. So nice to have you here. You're one of the good commentators. This is licorice porter beer from Finland by this Laitilan brewery. This is a porter beer with licorice. Yes, it's very, very interesting to taste. Not my first time, not my second time, but never ceases to amaze me how weird this tastes like. What else? What are other questions? David Hasselhoff. I think Gerkan mentioned that previously. I should be talk about David Hasselhoff. Um, David Hasselhoff. He's my hero of my youth. Now you have to remember that I was born in 1975, so I'm way too old for all your groupies right there. I know, even though my face looks still nice, doesn't it? Kid joking aside, you might remember Knight Rider, the guy driving the car, Kid, and he was awesome. He was punching the bad guys out with bare fists, without no guns, having his kind of a stupid 1980s hair, and he had the coolest car ever. And he was, hitting on them ladies with his smooth talking. And as a kids, we didn't even understand. But I mean, he was great. Obviously, when you get older, you start feeling like Night Rider is a little lame. But then David Hasselhoff just like boom came out. He had songs. He did Baywatch. He kind of shed his skin. Way better than Dogthrone did, by the way. David Hasselhoff leads. Dogthrone comes second. And he has always had this irony, self-irony like we have in the Finnish. He hasn't been afraid to, joke about himself. Being this kind of 80s has been. And then he had Kung Fury and all that stuff a few years ago. I mean, I love when people can, just fool around with themselves and not lose one single bit of their credibility. I wish I could do the same. In a way, I have, and I whatever. But in a way, with some eyes, I don't even have the credibility. So what can I say? David Hasselhoff, great character. People should be more like that. Much like Chuck Norris. But Chuck Norris believes in God. David Hasselhoff, I think, does not. So David Hasselhoff wins. What else? Belphegor Behemoth. Behemoth, clearly. Even though musically they have been on decline, I still think they are more powerful with their music, with their message, and all that stuff. So yeah, Behemoth. What else? Ivanas, I've heard that for a foreign Latin American brown, small-looking dude, it's not a good idea going to Steelfest with all white supremacy and things like that. That's bullshit. That's scare tactics. For not even once, I've been at Steelfest for quite a few years. Doesn't matter what color you are, people don't usually care. Obviously, there will be some racist people. Everywhere there are racist people. But doesn't mean it if you're brown, yellow, orange, whatever, full black, dotted with red dots and all that stuff. You will get along. Steelfest itself has had people with various racial backgrounds, various races, cultures, and all that stuff. And I have not seen or witnessed any fights in the first place, not to mention because of that. So I mean, being brown, coming from Latin America, I think people would probably back that person up. If that person got up, because of some local white supremacy people. So I don't think that's a real threat to anybody. Um, in fact, it was kind of a nice to see those Dayfucker guys from Philippines relocated to Costa Rica or something, and they came to say hello to me. They don't look like Nordicas at all, and I don't think they got into trouble for that. Being in a band or no band, I mean, most people in Finland are not racist, at least to a level that would actually mean anything beyond being kind of a keyboard warrior, stuff like that. So Steelfest is not a place to be afraid of what your skin color or cultural background is. Brown is beautiful. When I was in Mexico, I saw a really beautiful Latina woman. Send me one, please. Baby metal. I think it's ridiculous, stupid shit. It's not good musically. It's not good for a joke. It should be destroyed. Do I ever really re-listen an album? And I think I got it wrong in a review. That's a really great question by Metallurgical Fire. Yes and no. Usually, I kind of disappoint myself in the terms of when I kind of re-listen to an album which I kind of condemned years before, and I wish like, okay, maybe my mindset has changed and all that stuff. And usually when I can come back for another time for an album which I judge to be something, I usually feel the same way. So I'm kind of a consistent in that way. So if, for example, if I gave some 7 out of 10 years ago to an album, and now I would listen to it again, I was like, okay, it's still 7 out of 10. There's some exceptions, but they're really rare and few. And usually the number, if I were given to one on Rauta, as you probably know, I don't have these review scores. But if I had, for example, like on Imperium.net, where I've been writing since like 2002, where the scale is like from 1 to 10 out of 10. I mean, usually the review score would change from like zero point 0.5. So, for example, if an album would be like 8.5 out of 10, like 10 years ago, now it would be 8.0 or 9.0 out of 10. It really doesn't change more than that, usually. There are probably a few exceptions, but nothing like drastic, like 9 out of 10 album would be suddenly 7 out of 10. Nothing like that. I'm usually very consistent, and it kind of bores me. But then again, I like to be very consistent. Like, for example, if I'm being a prick, I like being a prick in the same way. Because if I would be surprising myself, like behaving all irrational and all that stuff, that would kind of like make me worry. Like, is my personality about to split and identity going different places? Like, without me understanding how it would go. So there you have it. Fate no more forever beats faith, not fate. What else? What else? Slush again. Could it be my Irish Finnish friend? I hope so. If you're there, have my kudos to you, my greetings. Play some vinyl, man. No, I won't be playing some vinyl. You can do your own vinyl. Put some, I don't know, Honor of Funeral Moon and just wang it off. Had some great, sort of decent Belgian beer earlier, super thick and 8.5. At God 6, Belgian beer is one of the best beer there ever is. Enjoy it. It's really good. And also, if you haven't tried, go having some good cheese with your beer. I think it was one of the most kind of a mind-blowing things when I, a few years ago, 6, 7 years ago, I'm not exactly sure, when I went to Brussels to meet my friend, which is a real hardcore metalhead. More hardcore than most of the Rauta subscribers ever. And he would take us to bars and whatever. So with this trip to Brussels, I learned that they would have these small cups, glass cups, you know, fill it with, cheese cubes, like slice and dice kind of a thing. And at first, with my friend, we're like, have these, my friends who are also from Finland, not from Brussels, by the way. And we went to a bar and we're like, yeah, just gonna have a couple of these cheese blocks, but not probably more than a couple of, because I mean, this is not gonna be our thing, we guessed. And how wrong we were. Suddenly it was more like, nom, 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 yummy, yummy, yummy. More beer, more cheese, more beer, more cheese. Great combo. Since then, I kinda learned to value good cheese with good beer. I know it sounds kind of a connoisseur kind of thing that you don't learn when you're little Chinese, but now I want to have this mustache, drink my fine beer within a fine lady company, and have this cheese. But then again, the ladies wouldn't be probably understand. I, for my beer, my cheese, my music, so they would be piss off. Have I ever seen Beherit? Uh, I've seen Holocaust live. Beherit? No, I'm afraid so. Um, in the latest issue of Bardot Methodology, guys from Whale, that is WAIL, mentioned that sauna has a very important role in Finnish history and culture. Are they right? Yes, they're most definitely right. Sauna is one of the things which are very, very Finnish things. It's a steam room, but not like Turkish sauna, less steam, more heat. It is very, very Finnish thing to have. It's kind of a place of holy cleansing. Go there, you sweat out all your sins and whatever. Or you also relax. You also kind of like shut down a little bit. I mean, you can be very social at sauna and drink beer and go for a swim on a lake and wrestle with your friends and whatever. But first and foremost, sauna is a place of, getting clean. You just sweat out all the shit, whether it's workout, whether it's work, whether it's having sex, whether it's your mental state of things. And sauna is kind of a place of meditations, even. It's a place where people can just sit with one another side by side, totally nude, totally naked, and be totally comfortable with it. I think sauna is one of the reasons why the Finns are so cool to see other people naked, and we don't think it's weird. Like in many countries, you have to put your towels around your hips and even your breasts and all that stuff, so you don't have your genitals and whatever out in the open. But in Finland, it doesn't really matter. You can be young or old. I mean, like, you can be grandpa, grandma age. You can be a little kid. You can be something in the middle. You can go to sauna with your workmates, female or male, doesn't matter. And you just go there and have a talk. And I think that's one of the coolest things in Finland, because I mean that's the real deal. There are when you go undressed, it doesn't matter what kind of a military things you have here. It doesn't matter if you wear a suit. It doesn't matter if you have a beard, long hair, no hair, blonde hair, fake hair. You have glasses. You have whatever. You have tattoos or no tattoos. You're just undressed. You're just by yourself there. It is a place. It's like a temple, but without kind of a religious thing, more like spiritual thing, more like meditative thing. You go to this room, which is usually, not always, but usually quite dark. It's hot, it's steamy, it's moist. And you go there, and you probably, if you're with strangers, you go like, hello. Maybe you nod, maybe you say a word. Well, maybe your friend's like, hey, anybody need for a beer? Anybody need some sausage? You know? The thing is, it's a place where people are stripped of their titles, ranks, clothes, the meaning. They're just humble people, naked, stripped. I think, in a way, Depeche Mode song Stripped kind of brings this to feeling, even though it's hardly about Finnish sauna culture. But I think if there was only one thing non-Finns had to experience in Finland, that would be sauna. And the next then would be booze and, the rest of the things, licorice, salty licorice, and whatever. But sauna, it's kind of a sacred thing. It doesn't have to be sacred, but it's very, very eye-opening experience, in my opinion. You go there fully naked. You can go skinny dipping. You can just go to the take a shower. You can go roll on the snow right afterwards, if it's winter, that is. But I guarantee it's relaxing. It's eye-opening. It's taking you off these mental burden things. It will be eye-opening experience. I can pretty much guarantee that. What else? Nagelfar or Nagelfar, the Swedish black metal band or the German black metal band? I would go for the German band, Nagelfar. I think they have better albums than Nagelfar, but they both are pretty good. David Hasselhoff works with Blümchen now? Okay, I don't know about that, but I'm expecting something nice quality. Friday night evening in Louisiana. I wish I was in Louisiana when I want to taste the local food. American food is great. All my good thoughts go to Louisiana right now. And KPT says, naiset kiinnostaa. Well, who isn't interested in women? I am for the first, if nobody gives a damn. What else? What else? So it's Slush the guy is nice to have you. I still don't know how to pronounce your name. It's so weird. But it was nice to meet you, still. It's nice to have you as a Facebook friend. So cheers to you, my Irish Finnish prick friend. What else? I probably said already, but what's the origin story of Rauta? It's pretty run of the mill. Oh, well, Rauta story is pretty much this metal. Rauta means iron because I work out and all those barbells, dumbbells, they're made of iron, and iron is also metal. It's kind of a wordplay thing. It makes more sense in the Finnish that it probably makes sense in English, but the origin of Rauta is just we wanted to have a word that is easily to Google. It's not so easily to meshed up with other metal related, metal observer, metal socks, metal this and that. I mean, there are plenty of names which are so easily, messed up with the other names. I wanted to have a metal that is also reflecting the Finnish way of things, but it's also kind of a wordplay related to my workout and all that stuff. So Rauta, I think it's pretty fitting. Even though people sometimes misspell it, it doesn't really matter. I think Rauta is very, very Finnish thing, and it's nice to roll the R when it's Rauta. Obviously, people say Rauta, but it's not Rauta, it's not Rota. Rauta, on the other hand, means like this frost that is underneath the layer of on the ground. The kind of when the water freezes underneath the soil, that is Rauta, but Rauta is iron. There you have it. Hope it explains. Every metalheads don't fight with the end one. I don't know what that means. Yeah. Talking about Bergen of being Tampere being Bergen of Finland, and same thing for Quebec. Would any other countries have similar town to them? Yeah, I think it's quite possible. But the thing is, I don't have enough knowledge about it. I'm pretty sure that Sweden has these kind of cities which are like kind of unique in this style. I think Gothenburg in Sweden, in a way, is very, very closed place in a way. I mean, that they have their own scene. It's big city, but they are still not too much influenced by other cities, and they have their own very unique sound, much like we have Florida sound. But Florida is then again a state. It's not Miami. It's not Fort Lauderdale. It's not Jacksonville. It's many places. But yeah, I think many countries have it. But we need people of the local scene to tell what's the Bergen of France? What is the Bergen of Spain, for example? German versus Finnish beer. Well, to be honest, my knowledge of German beer is greatly outdated, but at this point, I would say Finnish beer because what I've usually had in Germany is like lager, or the various types of lager, Kölsch and whatever. And in Finland, we have very, very big craft beer scene, so Finnish beer. But my Finnish beer wouldn't be my top three. Do I like Stormlight? I already answered it previously. You probably missed it, or you were listening to the stream. Musically, nope. But I respect what Kim is doing with the band. He's a friend of mine. I totally respect what he's doing with Stormlight. Musically, it's not my cup of tea. It's way too folky for my taste buds. And as such, I probably don't know how to recommend similar bands. Sorry for that, Mr. Michael Hansen. Um, Devil Red 1971 asks, never had a Finnish beer and never seen in the store here in the US. Well, not so much a question, but the thing is, probably most beers, most Finnish beers probably don't make it to the States. Actually, I think the one we got from Laitila, this Kukko brand, which means rooster, they at least had the gluten-free beer in the United States, but that still might be kind of a too hipster thing to have it kind of a mainstream wide. But most Finnish breweries are way too small. I think reasonable would be to expect to have some KOFF, KOFF, because they had some Brooklyn brewery from New York City, had kind of a collaboration going on with them, so they might have KOFF beers in at least New York City, because at least we had some Brooklyn beers with KOFF here. So I don't know if it's there, but those would be the ones that I would consider seeing there. Leviathan has covered stripped. That's an interesting fact to know. And now I need to check out that. Stop supporting this channel. He abused a toddler. That's a troll level with caps. Devil Red 1971 is also preparing to hit the tropical storm / hurricane Barry, drinking Stella Artois. That's kind of a lame beer. Get something better. And listening to some old Anthrax. Don't switch that. That's good. Businessman is very worried about supporting him. He's in for Nazis by Ville Valo. Don't worry. Him stopped existing already. Louisiana cuisine is the best. I can imagine. That's why Americans have heart disease and weight problems. That's so true. Americans have so good food, and the so-called trash food, the fast food is so cheap there that I would be a kind of a fat person if I were living there. I mean, I would just pump iron and live fast food. But then again, Arnold Schwarzenegger wasn't the fat guy, and he lived in the States. So what do you know? But Americans have great food. Great food. Metallurgical Fire had a good question. Is businessman trying to be ironic, just being a troll? Probably both. What else? I'm gonna soon stop doing. I need to go to the bed, so I will just answer your questions quickly before I do it. What is my opinion about Saturnian Miss and the Mastermind project King Satan? King Satan is crap. It's really horrible dance music with satanic imagery and whatever. I think it's full of crap. I think these guys do just better. I think it's one of those projects where guy from a one band needs a side project with his girlfriend, which is this is in essence he is. and it's crap. Saturnian mist has lots of potential, but these guys are not, in my opinion, very good with compositions and such. Maybe they should take a break from the occult and focus on the creating music rather than going on the occult in terms of sacrificing the music. This is just my take. I mean, I don't have anything against these young fellas with the scene channel wins, Saturnian Mist, and the like. But to be honest, these guys with Saturnian Mist, channel wins, and a Funeral Bell, they're not that good. And what is this? No, oh, this is literally guys going crazy on Twitter talking about him and hating economy touching a toddler, but his sentence squashed. I don't know even who is this businessman talking about. Not anybody we mentioned here. Mexican beer, have I tried it? Well, to be honest, when I was in Puerto Vallarta, Mexico, last January, I had some basic Mexican beer, just pretty much like German lager. Doesn't taste much. It's good for when you're like having sauna and when you're like sweating like a pig. But I had some great craft beer there, and to be honest, craft beer is the shit. So I wish I could learn more about Mexico craft beer, but the basic lager is just basic lager. It doesn't matter if you go to China, doesn't matter if you go to Germany, Finland, Spain. It pretty much is the same. It's like having your Budweiser all over the place. Michael Hansen said that some Finns learn Swedish. Can I speak of it? To be honest, I'm kind of ashamed of it, but no. My Swedish really sucks because I was too much an asshole at school to learn it properly. I mean, I know Swedish words and I can say some sentences in Swedish, like "Hur mår du?" "How are you?" and stuff like that. But I mean, and I know like how to pronounce some Swedish words properly, but I really can like speak it. I can understand if somebody speaks to me Swedish. I can read words here and there, but I'm kind of ashamed of it. Much like Canadians should be ashamed that they don't know French, or American people should be ashamed when they don't know Spanish at all. I'm not really serious about it, by the way, but I mean it. Like once you have other languages in your country, you should pay attention to that. I was too foolish to do it when I was younger. Now it's really hard for me to learn Swedish. If I had been any wiser, I would now totally rule with Swedish and all that. But unfortunately, I wasn't smart enough. I was too much paying attention to other stuff. So there you go. Yeah, they're like Finn or Swedish dialect. Yeah, I can do it. If I was to talk a little bit like a Swedish guy on the stream, I would like something like this. For example, I like Marduk and Dark Funeral a lot, and I also like Battery and Arcanum. Arcanum is one of my favorite Swedish black metal bands of all time. I also like very much like Swedish death metal, like Entombed or Grave. But you know what the Swedish suck? They don't know how to say yay. For example, I would be yay, and the football team in New York City would be New York Giants. They would not be New York Giants, nor I would be Jerry. So the Swedes suck when they are trying to talk like this. Morgan of Marduk obviously didn't have this problem, but a little bit also. What else? Polish brain. Well, Finnish is art like that, but then again, we don't understand Polish as well either. I mean, they're way too much these consonants. We're like Polish to us, like seems like. Were there any vowels? Nope. Like mgla, mva, mgla. How do you say it? I don't know. And Hello, Virginia. Was pleasure of mine to answer your questions. Have a good day or night wherever you are. Thank you for asking quick questions. Metallurgical fire. Thank you also. And then same goes to you, Z0 Age. And am I able to pronounce the SH sound at all? I don't know if it's meant for Finnish or Swedish, but before I go, I will just read this Devil Red 1971 Louisiana thing. Trooper beer. That is actually one of the better band beers, by the way. It's quite nice. It's not mind blowing, but it's one of the better band beers. Mgwa. That's how I was told it should be pronounced. Mgwa. Does it? Is it like even vaguely right? Mgwa. Correct me if I'm wrong. This is how much time we have on Rauta stream. I should have been in the bed for about an hour a night right now. So make your last questions right about now, and I'll get back to you. I don't know. I mean, I will answer them right about now, and the rest ones I will get about later. Yeah. Google Translate solves everything. It's like a bubble fish of everything. There are probably questions which I ignored unintentionally. Is there anything you need to know about me, the channel name, future plans, something like what's the meaning of life? Feel free to shoot it right out now before I go. I'm just sipping my beer. No, I'm not showing my titties. This is not a porn show, you sluts. Favorite tattoo? Like my own tattoo? Or somebody else's? Like your mom's panda tattoo? Like the tramp stamp? Yes, you should have probably noticed that I'm a gamer. I'll show you what's on my table. I'm a gamer. Yes, I am. This is a game I have bought actually twice. First on PS3, now PS4. I've been gamer since I was like, I don't know, 7, 8, something like that. I also worked in the gaming industry for the past 22 years or something like that. So yeah, I'm a gamer. I really like to consider myself certified nerd or geek. I usually joke around that I'm a kind of a powerlifting geek, that I enjoy role-playing games, I like video games, I like sci-fi, I like fantasy, but I also like to do martial arts, self-defense, uh, powerlifting, play black metal, have bizarre philosophy, and all that stuff. But then again, and now it's one of those anecdote times. A lot of Finnish black metal guys have their history with role-playing games. I'm talking about people like Horna, Satanic War Master, and the like. With lots of people who are more or less related to fantasy games. So it's not so much a coincidence why bands have Tolkien inspired names. You know, Burzum, Gorgoroth, Horna, Azaghal, etc. A lot of things are related to Tolkien. So to be honest, I wouldn't be surprised if, say, some 10 years from now, bands would be naming their bands or band members after Game of Thrones or whatever, because I mean, it's nowadays Tolkien, right? So fantasy, with its all metaphors and interesting stories, are deeply rooted in black metal, and I'm just one of those geeks. Oh, my tattoos. What would be my favorite? Mm, this needs a little bit of taking down clothes. Probably this one, made by Ronnie Erling. This is a Thor's hammer, actually, as you can see. Now it's a bicep time. I don't have a big bicep, as but you know. But anyway, that is probably one of my favorites because, first of all, it was a gift to me by my girlfriend back then, and I have liked writing stuff since I was a kid, and to me, it kind of reflects power, strength within, kind of this kind of a power and strength kind of ideals within a man. No, it has nothing to do with any kind of a NSPM or stuff like that. It's more like this kind of a simple pagan beliefs and stuff like that. So that probably is my favorite, or this one, which I should show. This is, I don't know if you can make it out, but it's this Atlas, the Titan in Greek philosophy, which is kind of like holding the globe, Earth, on his back, which is kind of a common symbol for powerlifters or strength-oriented people. But to me, also strikes down with the story of Atlas, which is kind of a tragic story. You know, if you have ever read any Greek stuff related to gods and whatever. I mean, he left his position for a while only to be fooled to hold the earth again. So I'm a big nerd for these kind of you know, these god stories, especially in Greek philosophy, or sorry, Greek gods and Viking gods. But then again, I'm also fascinated by other gods. I think I should totally read more about Indian gods and all that stuff because there's some crazy stuff. So all these mythological stories, they have very, very big impact on me because not only they reflect how we are as people, how we have our beliefs, and how our morals and whatever are. So, I mean, they're great stories. There's a lot to be learned from those. Gute Nacht, says KJ. Gute Nacht. And Hero Quest or Space Hulk? That's a great question. I should say Space Hulk, but I have to say Hero Quest because I played it more than Space Hulk. Do I like Havukruunu or is that too folky? It's not too folky, but the only times I've heard it was way too bad a sound live and all that stuff. So I'm not there yet as a fan. Fling Ravioli has this question. Lowry from SW kind of looks like the guy who plays Vampire the Masquerade. Uh, yeah, I think he played some of the role playing. Not Vampire the Masquerade back in the days, but I mean, he has a role playing background. I learned this already back in the 90s. So yeah, me and Lowry are not that much of a different. We are a lot of different. I'm more on the healthy side, where he's more on the booze side. Evil faced. What about it? Yes, Atlas. Opinions about the new Death Smell Omega album. Haven't yet heard it. And now this has been going more than 2 hours, which is way more than 1 hour, which I originally planned. I bid you well all. Good night. Good Nacht. Bon Jovi, all that stuff. Oh, just kidding. Um, what's it called? Buena notte. Take care. Should you have any questions, there will be new Ask Me Anything video right about like next week. So some of the questions will be answered there, and those which are not will be postponed to the fall 2019 Ask Me Anything. And if you want more streams, let me know in the comment boxes. I will do streams every now and then, not too often because they will be boring out of you, and I will be spending way too much here time doing the streams. But I will be doing these if you enjoy these. So thank you for being the audience. Thank you for being loyal Rauta people, whatever. And good natt för helvete. Not Razzi and That's SW. There's anywhere where War Master has his own channel. I'm not so sure. Bonne nuit, Mr. Rautaman said flying ravioli. Bonne nuit, bonne nuit. Buenas noches. See you. Boa nuate. How Ryan and take care. Take good care of yourself and all that stuff.